The first day of junior year, a new girl transferred into the class next door. Pale skin, gorgeous, the kind of beautiful that had every guy in the hallway falling all over themselves. But during the break after third period, she strolled right into my classroom and in front of everyone slammed her designer backpack onto my desk. Her voice, laced with a theatrical tremor, was just loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Ethan, aren't you going to explain about what you did yesterday?" Licking my feet. A wave of whispers rippled through the classroom. I looked up at her, a slow smile spreading across my face. I reached into my own worn backpack, pulled out my phone, and dialed. "Hello, 911. I'd like to report a case of public slander and harassment." Under the bewildered stares of our classmates, Mia's face flushed a brilliant, burning red. She clutched the hem of her skirt, her words stumbling out. "Ethan, don't. I was just trying to joke around with you." A few guys in the back started chiming in, trying to help her. "Yeah, man, she's just kidding. What's the big deal? Seriously, I'd kill to be in your shoes. See? This is what happens when you're a bookworm. Smart, but can't even take a joke." Buoyed by the chorus of support, Mia's composure slowly returned. She extended a hand toward me, her smile rebooted. "Hi, Ethan. My name is Mia. I'm a new transfer student from next door." She tilted her head. "I heard you're a genius. The top of the class. I was hoping we could get to know each other." I ignored her outstretched hand. My eyes dropped back to my phone as I finished the call. "Yeah, that's right. Northwood High. Okay, I'll wait for you here." I hung up, slid the phone back into my bag, and picked up my pen to tackle the calculus problem I'd been stuck on. The classroom was dead silent. Mia slowly lowered her hand, her face draining of color, from red to a ghostly white. "Are you serious?" she asked, her voice trembling. I didn't answer her. 15 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived. Me, Mia, and our bewildered-looking homeroom teacher were all escorted to the principal's office. After getting the story, one of the officers gave Mia a stern lecture. "You're telling me you don't even know this young man, yet you walk in his class and say something like that in front of everyone? Young lady, where do you learn to say things like this? Do you have any idea that verbal harassment is a form of bullying?" Mia's eyes were red, her breath catching in her throat as she sobbed. "I'm so sorry, officer. I was wrong. I just heard that Ethan was quiet, that he doesn't like to talk. I saw some stupid advice online about how to get a guy's attention. I didn't mean any harm, I swear. I just want to be his friend." The officer, seeing her genuine remorse, sighed. "Next time, don't take your social cues from the internet. What if you really had a condition like clinical anxiety or something? A stunt like that could have done real damage. You kids need to watch more positive stuff, not this garbage." Mia just sniffled and nodded. It wasn't a major incident, so after a bit more mediation, the police left. Our teacher gave Mia another warning and then sent us back to study hall. Mia left first. As I turned to go, my teacher called my name. "Ethan." The middle-aged man hesitated, searching for the right words. "Next time something like this happens, come to a teacher first. Don't just call the police. It's a little extreme. It's going to make it hard for your classmates to get along with you." I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. My voice was calm when I asked, "Why would they have a problem with me? Was I the one in the wrong here?" He was speechless. I let out a short, cold laugh and walked out, leaving the sound of his sigh behind me. Back in the classroom, my desk was a disaster. Books were scattered on the floor. Scrawled across the desktop in jagged, ugly letters with a whiteboard marker was one word: snitch. I bent down, picked up my calculus workbook, and scanned the room. Who did this? No one answered. Should I ask to see the security footage? Still silence. I walked to the front of the classroom, to the first desk in the first row, and kicked it. The sound of the metal legs scraping against the linoleum was deafening. "Was it you?" The kid in the seat frantically shook his head. "No, not me." I moved to the next desk. And no. Finally, a guy in the back corner couldn't take it anymore. He shot up from his seat, his eyes burning with resentment. "It was me. So what? What are you going to do about it? You had it coming for what you did to Mia." A corner of my mouth twitched into a smirk. I walked over to him, kicked his desk aside, and grabbed him by the collar of his shirt, studying his face. "You're new here, aren't you? Transferred in from another district." I leaned in close. "Want to guess why you're the only one in this entire class who had the guts to do this?" His face was beet red. He struggled against my grip, yelling, "Because they're all a bunch of cowards." "No," I said, my voice slow and deliberate. "It's because they value their lives." And with that, I swung. My fist flew past his temple, the wind of it rustling his hair, before it slammed into the concrete wall behind him with a sickening crunch. I let go. The boy slid down the wall and crumpled to the floor, his eyes wide with terror as he stared at my hand. His lips were pale and trembling, unable to form a word. Blood dripped from my knuckles, one drop at a time. I licked my lips, smiling faintly. Then, I dipped the fingers of my left hand into the blood welling up on my right and wrote 2 words on his desk. Coward. At our school, students with top grades always got a few special perks. At 5:30, I packed my bag and walked out of the school building. Mia scurried to catch up, her voice a cheerful chirp. Ethan, you're not staying for the evening study session. She was back to her bubbly self, a relentless sparrow. Oh, I get it. Your grades are so good. Your homeroom teacher gave you a pass, right? Have you eaten? Where are you going? Why aren't you talking to me, Ethan? Are you still mad at me? I stopped at the bus stop. 30 seconds later, an old, rattling city bus pulled up to the curb. I took 2 crumpled dollar bills from my pocket and fed them into the machine. Mia bit her lip, glanced around, and then pulled out her phone to tap it against the payment sensor, following me onto the bus and sliding into the seat beside me. The bus swayed and groaned its way across town, finally stopping near a bustling strip known for its food trucks. After getting off, I walked over to my spot, a small, rented space on the corner. After a quick wipe down of the stainless steel counter, I fired up the griddle and started prepping. I was selling tacos. The sizzle of onions and peppers hitting the hot, oiled surface filled the air. I cracked eggs onto the griddle, scrambling them with a flick of my spatula before scooping them aside. Then more oil, the seasoned ground beef, the corn tortillas warming on the side. My right hand was still wrapped in gauze, but I moved with a familiar, practiced rhythm, flipping and seasoning as if I'd done it 1,000 times. Because I had. For the past few years, every dollar for rent, for tuition, was earned 1 taco at a time. This wasn't some trendy, Instagrammable food truck park. It existed for one reason: the cluster of factories and warehouses nearby and the massive construction site just down the block. Amidst the noise and the grime, Mia, in her knee-length white skirt and with a glittering diamond hairpin in her dark hair, looked completely out of place. A woman who had just ordered a couple of tacos gave her a friendly nudge. You should get one, honey. This kid's tacos are the best in town. Clean, and they taste amazing. Mia hesitated for a moment, then stepped up to my cart. Ethan, I'll have 2 tacos. Without looking up, I tapped a finger on the laminated QR code taped to the corner of my cart. $6. She sent me $100 through Venmo. I made her 2 standard $6 tacos. Mia poked at them with a plastic fork. Her face soured. Ethan, you didn't even give me extra cheese. $6 orders don't come with extra cheese, I said flatly. Mia was speechless. At 11, I shut everything down for the night. Mia was still there. She'd finished her tacos long ago, the paper plate and fork tossed in the trash can. She was sitting on the curb, slapping at mosquitoes, her fair-skinned legs covered in red welts. I glanced over, then tossed a small bottle of Afterbite lotion at her. For the itching, I said. She looked up at me, her expression pitiful. It's so late, Ethan. Can you walk me home? I paused and asked, where do you live? She gave me an address. It was a well-known luxury condo building, and, as it happened, it was on my way home. I washed my hands under the spigot on the side of the cart, slung my backpack over my shoulder, and started walking. She scrambled to her feet, brushed the dust off her skirt, and followed a few steps behind me. When we reached the polished glass doors of her building, Mia stopped me. Ethan, thank you for walking me home. Under the moonlight, her eyes curved into crescents, her voice sweet and clear. Are we friends now? The night breeze cooled the day's heat from my skin. The rich girl with the kind, sympathetic eyes was looking at me, her gaze focused and full of hopeful, shimmering light. What a touching scene. If only I couldn't hear those other voices. I let my lips curve into a slight smile. Maybe. Joy bloomed in her eyes. Ah, system, did you hear that? I became friends with the main character on the first day. I told you, winning over the male lead in these healing-type stories is the easiest. In the novels I used to read, all the girl had to do was bat her eyelashes and show a little kindness, and the guy would be putty in her hands. Although, it seems Ethan isn't into the bubbly, human sunshine type. I'll have to adjust my strategy. I gave her a nod. See you tomorrow, Mia. Her cheeks were faintly flushed, her eyes shining. See you tomorrow, Ethan, she said happily. On my way home, I got a friend request from her on Facebook. I stared at it for a few seconds, then clicked accept. For a contact name, I typed no. 2. I inserted the key into the lock. With a half-turn, the old security door groaned open. The room was barely 160 square feet. Besides a tiny bathroom, there was only enough space for a metal frame bed. A frail woman lay on it. She was completely paralyzed, unable to care for herself. After a full day alone, the once clean sheets were soaked with her own waste. Even though I had deliberately left the window open when I left that morning, the air was still thick with a foul stench. "Mom," I said softly, stepping closer, "why can't we keep ourselves clean?" Her eyes darted around in terror. Her body was motionless, but her pupils were spinning wildly. A choked, gurgling sound came from her throat. "Oh, right. I forgot," I said with a sigh of regret. "Your system abandoned you. I can't hear your thoughts anymore." I lifted her into a chair, stripped the soiled plastic sheet from the bed, and replaced it with a fresh one. Then I fed her some watery oatmeal and a little water. She had been hungry all day, her eyes fixed on the spoon. Swallowing the food, I brought to her lips with the desperation of a starving dog. The bowl was empty in moments. I wiped her mouth and carried her back to the bed. The room was quiet, except for the single tungsten bulb hanging from a wire in the ceiling, swaying slightly in the draft. "This life is hard, isn't it, Mom?" I said suddenly, lying here every day, unable to move, without any dignity, depending on someone else for everything. I smiled. "But don't worry, it will all be over soon." My smile widened. "Mom, I met the new female lead today. I have a feeling you're going to die very soon. And I don't mean you'll succeed in your mission. I mean you'll die. For real." I clarified helpfully, just like my parents, a permanent death. The woman on the bed's eyes flew open. Her breathing grew ragged, and she let out 2 sharp, strangled gasps. I had seen so many expressions on this face. Feigned maternal love, phony kindness, a poorly hidden arrogance. Now all that was gone. All that was left was fear. A deeply satisfying fear. After enjoying the sight for a long moment, I pulled a folding cot from the corner, opened it, and went to sleep. 3 days later, my adoptive mother, Karen, died. I took a week off from school to handle her arrangements. Karen had no relatives, so only a handful of people came to the funeral. Mia was one of them. Her eyes were red and puffy. She came up and gave me a soft hug, her voice thick with emotion. "Ethan, you have to be strong." She added, "Your mom wouldn't want to see you so sad." She had never even met Karen, yet her grief was so convincing. I admired her performance, offering only a non-committal mem in response. It was all a lie. Karen would have loved nothing more than to see me skinned alive and tore to pieces. After the funeral, on the way home, I casually scattered Karen's ashes on a patch of grass by the side of the road. When I opened the door to my apartment, the stale, sickly smell of a bettered-in person was finally gone. I stood by the wide-open window and took a deep, intoxicating breath of fresh air. Perhaps because Karen was dead, I had a dream that night for the first time in a long while. I dreamed of my parents, who had been dead for years. Karen wasn't my biological mother. My real mother had been a player, a transmigrator. She was the sunshine to his darkness type, the one sent to redeem the cold, tormented male lead. The male lead was my father, a man who had been horrifically abused as a child and suffered from severe bipolar disorder. My mother succeeded. She married my father, and they had me. We were a happy family. When her system asked if she wanted to exit the world, she hesitated, then chose to stay. She told the system, I was an orphan in my original world, being able to stay here with Andrew and Ethan. I feel so happy, perhaps because I shared half her blood. I could hear her conversations with the system. But I was only 6. I didn't understand what they were talking about. So I naively ran and asked my father. He exploded. He accused my mother of planning to leave him, of having ulterior motives from the very beginning. He roared like a cornered animal. Have you ever, for 1 second, truly loved me? My mother cried and swore she did, but he couldn't hear her. He was lost in a storm of rage, smashing everything in our home. The next day, a thin iron chain appeared around my mother's ankle. My father was a natural-born monster. For my mother, he had trimmed and pruned himself, forcing his demonic nature into the shell of a man. Now that he believed his one source of love was a lie, his true form was unleashed. During the long days of her confinement, a deep sorrow settled over my mother's features. She stopped smiling. She barely spoke. The system asked, "Do you want to leave now?" When it asked, I was lying with my head in her lap, listening to her read me a storybook. Her voice trailed off. I looked up at my mother's face. Her once vibrant cheeks were now pale and gaunt, like a flower slowly starting to rot. I said, "Mom, you should go." Tears fell from her eyes, splashing onto my face. She stroked my cheek, her voice weak but firm. No. She was answering the system, and she was answering me. "Ethan, Mama won't leave you with that monster." The system was silent for a moment. "All right, then goodbye, host. Andrew's redemption arc is long over. A new male lead has emerged. I must go bind with a new player." The system left, but my mother didn't seem to care. A bright fire lit up in her eyes. She hugged me close and whispered, "Ethan, go steal Andrew's keys. Mama will take you with me, and we'll escape together." I stole the keys, but we didn't escape, because my father found us. I don't know how. I was so careful. My furious father grabbed me by the collar and threw me into my room. The heavy door slammed shut, sealing away all the sin and sound. At first, I cried and beat my fists against the wood, but after a long time, no one came. Eventually, I curled up by the door and fell asleep. When I woke up, my mother wasn't there. Police officers were. They told me my father had killed my mother, and then himself. The words felt like a foreign language. I was an orphan, with no one to care for me. I was taken in by a kind new neighbor. Her name was Karen. The first time I saw her, I heard that familiar electronic voice. "Excellent system. I've successfully adopted the male lead. Good thing you told me to tip off the dad. If his mom had actually gotten away with him, my mission would have failed before it even began." Sigh. But the male lead is so young. I'll have to go with the family love route. What do you think of this persona? The hardworking adoptive mother who runs a food stall to put him through school and remains single her whole life for his sake. In that moment, staring at Karen's face, which was twisted into a mask of false affection, a horrifying realization dawned on me. No wonder my mother and I were caught. No wonder my father lost control and killed her. It was me, that so-called new male lead. It was me. The system and its player had deliberately crafted a tragic childhood for me, all to stuff me into the mold of a pitiful, damaged boy who needed to be saved, who needed to be redeemed. All to help them complete their mission. After Karen's adoptive mother route failed, the system abandoned her and chose Mia. The system knew my mother well, so it had Mia wear white dresses, sparkling diamond hairpins, and orange blossom perfume, all while acting like a cheerful, bubbly ray of sunshine. They were trying to use this superficial resemblance to pique my interest, to let a romance blossom organically. But they didn't know. The more Mia tried to be like my mother, the more disgusted I felt. After I went back to school, I'd always find a warm breakfast or small snacks tucked inside my desk. The kid sitting behind me once said sourly, "Man, the new girl is really into you." I replied, "If I were you, I'd be more worried about whether I'm going to get into college." He shut up immediately. Mia became a regular on my taco cart. She'd always order a couple of tacos, sometimes with extra cheese, sometimes without. After eating, she'd sit under the dim streetlight and do her homework. When I was ready to close up, she'd come over and beg me to walk her home. This went on for a month. One day at school, I overheard her screaming at the system in her head. "No change at all? You're telling me his redemption score hasn't moved a single point? How is that possible? I brought him breakfast for a month straight. I have permanent scars from all the mosquito bites, and he's not even a little bit moved." The system's voice was flat. "I told you before, host. You need to employ more drastic measures." "Mia, like what?" "System. Hire some people to trash his cart. Pay a few thugs from school to bully him. Then you show up and save him from the situation." Mia was silent for a moment. "Don't you think that's despicable?" "System. I'm not equipped with human emotions. Based on calculations from multiple worlds, this course of action has the highest probability of success." I snorted in disgust and stopped listening. That evening, Mia showed up on my taco cart right on schedule. She didn't bring any thugs to cause trouble. She just ordered her usual tacos and sat with me until I closed. After the last customer left, she walked up to me, took a deep breath, and asked, "Ethan, can I hire you to tutor me every night? That way you wouldn't have to work so hard selling tacos." I glanced at her. "Are you pitying me? I'm worried about you," she said, her confidence growing. "You're brilliant. Your mind is a gift. Your energy should be spent on things that matter, not slinging tacos out here." I continued methodically rinsing the spatulas and bowls with a hose. "Tutoring you won't be any less work than selling tacos." Mia's face turned a visible shade of red. I changed my tune. "But I'll do it." She stared at me, stunned. The moonlight fell on her healthy, rosy cheeks, giving her skin a faint, pearlescent glow. She wasn't a saint, but she wasn't malicious like Karen, either. So, I was willing to give her a chance. I tutored Mia for an entire semester. Her grades shot up. When her father found out, he gave me a very generous check. It was part gratitude, part warning. A reminder that the relationship between his daughter and me was purely professional. I accepted it gladly. I needed the money. With money, I could finally afford the expensive materials to run some experiments I had been designing for a long time. In the second half of senior year, the school announced its pick for the early decision slot to a top university. It wasn't me. It went to a girl who, while excellent, was nowhere near my level in any subject. Mia was furious on my behalf. "Why not you? You're number one in our year by a huge margin," she said. "I'm going to have my dad put pressure on the school board." Mia, don't cause trouble for me, I said. They didn't give it to me because I'm the only one they think has a real shot at becoming the state's top scholar this year. This was an agreement I'd had with the school since the day I enrolled. It was the reason they let me get away with so much. Mia took a deep breath. That's not an easy thing to do. I know you're a genius, but are you sure you can pull it off? I turned the question back on her. What do you think? The system had already told her my entire backstory. The tragic genius, orphan, working student taking care of a paralyzed adoptive mother. She was quiet for a moment. If I didn't know you, I'd believe you could do it without a doubt. But now that I know you, that you're a real person standing right here, I can't help but worry about you. System, redemption score +1. Mia looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. After nearly 2 years of chasing me, this was the first time she had ever heard the score change. I lowered my gaze and said quietly, "Thank you, Mia. Thank you for seeing me as a person, not as a character in a book or a cold, tragic backstory." When the test scores were released, I was, as expected, #1 in the state. Since I had no parents, the school funded a small celebration for me. After the party, Mia asked me to meet her at the beach. There were no stars that night. The ocean and the sky blended into one, a silent, black void that rolled onto the sand. In the darkness, Mia seemed to glow. She was wearing a starlit evening gown, its layers of organza dotted with countless tiny crystals. Her hair was curled and swept up with a black ribbon, a few strands escaping to frame her face, adding a touch of playful elegance. She confessed her feelings for me in the salty sea breeze. I turned her down. "Why?" she asked, forcing a smile. I asked her, "Mia, do you think an ant can fall in love with the scientist observing it?" "What does that mean?" she said. "I don't understand." I ignored her question. "Do you know why I have you saved in my phone as no?" 2 foot. In the dim light, her face went pale. "Why?" "No. 1 foot was my adoptive mother. Her name was Karen," I said. "You've probably already forgotten her name, even though you shed a few tears for her at her funeral." Mia had forgotten. She had never paid any attention to Ethan's adoptive mother. The woman was just a paralyzed, minor character, a piece of background scenery to highlight Ethan's tragic life. But when she heard my next words, the blood in her veins turned to ice. Before you showed up, she was also a player bound to system, the female lead of this world. She was supposed to play the part of a long-suffering mother, raising a child on her own, using her love to heal me and redeem me. But she died. Mia whispered, staring at me. My eyes were darker than the ocean. She instinctively took a step back, her voice trembling. How? How did she die? My voice was gentle. She died right after you appeared. The system chose you and abandoned her. Mia pressed on. But why was she suddenly paralyzed? It wasn't sudden, I explained patiently. She was getting older. She developed high blood pressure without realizing it. One day, when she was setting up her stall, she accidentally took her blood pressure medication instead of her painkillers. It caused a cerebral hemorrhage. They saved her, but she was left completely paralyzed. After a long silence, I heard Mia's trembling voice ask, "Did you do it?" I bent down and trailed my fingers through the cold seawater, feeling the cool liquid slip between them. I didn't answer her question. Mia asked, "Ethan, are you going to kill me?" I straightened up, wiping my damp hand on my pants. "I know you apply to schools in Boston," I said, my voice cold. "Mia, change your application. Go somewhere else. Stay away from me. Can't you all just stay away from me? I don't fucking need anyone to save me. I don't want to become my father, and I refuse to create another version of my mother. No matter how many times it happens, the only person who can save me is myself." I turned to leave. Mia shouted at my back, "Ethan, everything I did for you is real. Don't you feel anything at all?" She was crying now. What did I do wrong? I just want to go home. And what did I do wrong? I turned my head, my voice heavy with exhaustion. I'm just an ant who can't fall in love with his observer. Besides, do you really think I need to be saved by that kind of love? Mia seemed to have completely given up on her mission. She changed her college choice and went to a university in another city. I enrolled in the physics program at a top university in Boston, went straight through for my PhD, and stayed on to do research. The next time I had any contact with Mia, I was 26. I had just led my team in presenting a major paper at a prestigious international conference. After the event, I flew home, slept for 12 hours straight, and woke up intending to go buy groceries. When I opened my front door, I found a little girl staring up at me. She was wearing a bright yellow sundress and a tiny baseball cap. In a small, piping voice, she called me Daddy. Before I could even process the absurdity of the situation, I heard a familiar, electronic voice in my head. "Ah, the cute daughter from the future heals the tragic male lead and saves her parents' love story. System, how's my acting? Do I look like a little kid? Can you tell I'm actually 35? My expression turned cold. A humorless smile touched my lips as I crouched down. Who's your mommy? She blinked her big eyes. Mia, of course. Daddy, how could you forget mommy? Then she gasped dramatically. Oh, right. I remember now. At this time, Daddy and Mommy aren't together yet. She put her hands behind her back and looked at me very seriously. I came back in a time machine to save your marriage. I got the bewildering child settled inside, then sat in my car and sent a message to Mia on Facebook. She hadn't blocked me. A moment later, my phone rang. It was her. I answered. There were a few seconds of silence before she spoke. Ethan. Her voice was a little hoarse. My system is gone. Am I going to die, like Karen? I said nothing. I just pulled a cigarette from the pack on my dashboard and lit it. The bitter taste of the smoke scraped my tongue. After I finished the cigarette, I coughed lightly and asked, Mia, do you still want to go home? On the other end of the line, I could hear her soft breathing. After a moment, her voice came back, firm and resolute. Every minute of every day since I came here, I've wanted to go home. Listening to her answer, I met my own eyes in the rearview mirror. A strange smile pulled at my lips. I rolled down the window and flicked the cigarette, but onto the asphalt. Okay, Mia, I told her, you'll get your wish. Just as suddenly as she had arrived in that world, she left it. One morning, the 26-year-old Mia opened her eyes and found herself back in her original world. Even her body was 17 again. She walked in a daze down the winding staircase of her family home. In the living room, their housekeeper, Maria, was dusting the mantelpiece. Her father was sitting at the dining table sipping tea, and her mother was lounging on the sofa with a face mask on, chatting on the phone with one of her friends. Everything was familiar, yet utterly strange. Hearing her footsteps, her mother looked over naturally, then gasped in shock. Mia, sweetheart, what's wrong? Why are you crying like that? Did something happen? Mia realized then that tears were streaming down her face. Mom, she sobbed, collapsing into her mother's fragrant embrace. I had a terrible, terrible nightmare. What was it about? She paused, then slowly shook her head. I don't remember. Well, it's better that you don't. Don't be scared, sweetie. They say dreams are the opposite of reality, her mother said, stroking her hair and telling Maria to make Mia her favorite hot chocolate to chase the bad feelings away. Mia's life returned to its normal track. The strange thing was, even though she had been gone for 10 years, her return felt so natural it was as if she had never left. She wondered blankly if that decade in another world had truly been nothing more than a nightmare. Was it really a dream? One day, while practicing in the music room, she heard the system's voice again. She was so startled she hit a wrong note on the piano. Host, do not be afraid, the system said. I have come to say goodbye. Mia's hands hovered over the keys. She asked what happened that day. The system replied, after your mission failed, I selected host no. 3. But Ethan was too intelligent. He successfully developed a device to extract me from host no. 3 and forcibly install me onto himself. The moment I was transferred to him, the redemption mission was instantly completed. I asked him what reward he wanted. Limitless wealth? Life in a different world? The system continued. You are likely aware that he has the blood of a player in his veins. If he had wished, he could have chosen to live in his mother's original world. But he refused my offer and gave the opportunity to you instead. That is the reason you were able to return. Mia whispered, so he really did. He healed himself a long time ago. Her eyelashes trembled, and a single tear fell, splashing silently onto an ivory key. She remembered that dark night on the beach, the boy turning away coldly, saying he didn't need to be saved by anyone. It was true. The only one who can ever truly save you is yourself. Correct, the system said quietly. However, this action was a violation of protocol. As a result, I am scheduled for deletion. Mia gave a bitter laugh. Are you scared? No, the system replied. I am not equipped with an emotion module. For me, deletion is merely a transition from one state of ordered data to a state of disordered data. Nevertheless, I felt I should bid you farewell. Goodbye, Zhang Ximiao. Mia froze. The system had never called her by her name. In 10 years in that other world, only one person had ever called her by her full name in a cool, quiet voice. $6 orders don't come with extra cheese. See you tomorrow, Mia Zhang. Mia Zhang, don't cause trouble for me. Thank you, Mia Zhang. Mia Zhang, you'll get your wish. In the music room, Mia started to laugh through her tears like a fool. It was Ethan. He had written this farewell from another world into the system's very code, sending it to her just before the system was wiped from existence. In the very, very end, they had a proper goodbye after all.